he is turning himself in today. And we're just learning that Trump is not paying his full $200,000 bond, but instead putting 10% toward it and working with a local Atlanta bonding company to pay it for him. It's also been reported pretty widely at this point that Trump is not paying his own legal defense through his own personal funds. He's using the money that he raised through campaign fundraising, through his small dollar donors. And so it is incredible to see a man who likes to identify as a successful businessman, a billionaire, just unable to post $200,000 bond.
I mean, look, there's two possibilities. The less likely one is he's so broke he's even worried about $200,000. I mean, he's lost $400 million twice. He's unbelievably bad at business. And the only way I think he's...
Well, ain't this just the creepiest lighting you have ever seen? So I was actually gonna make a video roasting the Young Turks for not understanding how bail works. That's what I was gonna do. That was my video. I was gonna say, Young Turks are so stupid. They don't know how bail works. Well, I don't think I should take the full blame, because if I'm not mistaken, they posted a video today with the title. I think they were trying to be slick, look like clickbaity. So they were saying something about something like, Trump will only pay 10% of his bond, and I'm just like, isn't that the way bonds work? You see, that's why you gotta really, you can't be tunnel vision, right? You gotta look at the full perspective. I was tunnel vision for a second. I caught myself real quick, but I was tunnel vision. What do I mean? I'm looking at a specific detail, right? They're saying Trump is only paying 10% of his bond, right? And I'm just like, okay. So the reality that I'm accepted and focusing on is that Trump has a bond and he's only paying 10% of it. But I'm like, okay, but that's normal. You only pay 10% of your bond. But if you get outside of that tunnel, then you say, wait a minute, why in the hell does he have a bail bondsman in the first place? Right? Why does he have a bail bondman in the first place? And I didn't think about that at first. I was just like, that's how it works when you have a bail bondman, right? For people that don't understand how this stuff works, I unfortunately had to deal with bond. I was out on bond. Didn't do anything crazy, but this is America. It's easy to get locked up, and I've been locked up many times. Never for stealing or drugs or fraud or violence, right? Nothing like that, right? What was one thing? Parking ticket, like a $50 parking ticket. Right, that's what I get locked up for. Anyway, I didn't get a bond for that, but I have had a bond before, and I went to, I forgot how much it was for, but I'm not a 1%er, so it was a lot of money. I didn't have that money, right? Basically, the deal is very simple. The court has decided that it is unnecessary to incarcerate you pending trial or whatever, right? You are not a significant flight risk. So they're going to allow you to leave and be free, and trust to a degree, trust that you will show up for your court dates. But not really trust, because that's why they gave a bond, right? Rather than just, so they don't need to lock you up to where you physically have no choice but to show up for your court date. But they want to compel you, right? You're gonna be out there, you're gonna be free, but when the date comes, they're gonna compel you to be like, okay, when you're considering whether you're gonna go or not, they're gonna give you something really serious to think about, which is losing your money. So that's what they do. That's the chain that they give you, right? So you pay a ton of money, and you risk losing that money if you don't show up for your court, right? You want your money back? Show up for court. That's what it is. It's simple, right? They try to set the amount at an amount relevant to the risk, right? If it's like if you're very wealthy and it's like a murder trial or something like that, probably gonna be a pretty serious bond because you have a lot of incentive and means to run, to escape, blah, blah, blah. So typically the amount is so high that, regular people, as myself, we don't have that kind of money, man, right? So we go to a bail's bondsman, right? Bondsman, basically, it's a loan situation. It's a loan, right? This person is going to go out there and pay whatever the bond is, right? So they say you $50,000 bond, right? You don't got 50 grand. The bondsman has 50 grand, right? So he'll go and pay on behalf of you, right? And he'll do this for a fee, right? So it's like a loan, right? I want to buy a house. I don't have the money for the house. So a bank loans me the money, but I got to give the money back. Plus I got to pay them for the service of having the money. That's the interest on that loan, right? So you look at a bond, same kind of thing. You're out on $50,000 bond. They're going to charge you a fee of like, say, 10%, right? Now, in this case, it's a third-party thing. So, the bondsman is going to actually come up with 50 grand and actually pay that to the court. And in order for them to get their 50 grand back, they need for you to show up for court. And if you don't show up for court, then they come after you. That's the bounty hunter, right? They come after you trying to recover the money, right? But they actually have the money, so for them it's clean. They will give 50 grand, and if you show up, they get back 50 grand, right? It's clean. It ain't clean for you, right? Because you don't have the money, and you're having somebody pay for you, so they want to be paid, so they want that 10%. So that's an additional fee. So you're actually going to be losing money all the time when you use a bondsman. That's the point, right? You lose 10% of your bond when you use a bondsman, right? Because that 10% you pay is not part of your bond, right? They use the bond amount to do the calculation, 10% of the bond, that's how much we're going to charge you, right? It's just for calculation purposes. But that money is a fee you pay to the bondsman. That money has nothing to do with your court case, nothing to do with your bond. It has to do with the fact that you're asking someone to essentially loan you 50 grand, right? You don't actually get the money goes directly to the court, right? But you're getting the benefit of this 50 grand. 50 grand buys you the freedom until your trial, right? But they're going to pay the money directly to the court. Again, it's like a car loan where you're going to buy a car. There's different ways to do it, right? You're going to buy a car and you get a loan for the car, and then sometimes they'll pay you the money, but many times the banks will give the money to who you're buying the car from, right? So you're buying a car for 20 grand. You don't have 20 grand. The bank has 20 grand. The bank gives 20 grand to the car dealer, right? So you get the benefit of the car, you get the benefit of the 20 grand without actually the 20 grand. You never get the money, but you get the benefit of the money, which is you get the car, right? And for that benefit, you have to pay a fee, but you also have to give the money back, right? Because the money that was paid from the bank goes directly to the dealer, so they're not going to get that money back from the dealer. The dealer took that money and gave somebody else something, right? So now the bank is in the wind, right? They need to get the money back. So you got to pay them back, and for the privilege of being able to pay back over time, you pay the interest, right? So what is the significance of this, right? Now that I get it, I didn't get it at first. Donald Trump is a billionaire who doesn't have $200,000 apparently to pay a bond. I don't know if he doesn't have the money. I would suspect he has the money. But regardless of whether he has it or he doesn't have it, what he's doing is not financially sound. If he didn't have that much money, in theory, it would be better if he takes 90% and invests it in something that he can get some kind of return from, right? Which is greater than the fee, right? So if he's paying 10% of the bond, right? So that's an initial loss. But if by doing that he can take the 90% of the cash that he keeps, right? He's keeping 90% of his money. He has the money but not paying it. He's just going to pay 10%, right? Then he can take that 90% and invest it and into something that's making him money. And as long as it makes more money than the fee, then it could make financial sense. In fact, depending on what he's investing in, it could make a lot of financial sense, because let's say he takes 90% of that and he gets a return equivalent to 20%. So he's netting 10, right? He made a 20% return on the investment. And in order to do that, he just took a 10% hit, which is what he paid. This is a principle that a lot of really wealthy people use, which is very smart in terms of they want to always have their money in the location where it is most beneficial to them, right? So that's why sometimes very wealthy people will actually take out loans when they don't need to. They have the cash. But you look at, I'm going to give up all this cash and I'm just going to get this item for it, when in that period of time, there's so much things I could have invested my money in and I could have so much of a return. So without the money, because if you're buying something that's not generating income, right, you could instead put your money in something that is generating income. So your money is making money as opposed to just taking that big hit. Now, I don't think this is what's going on here. And I've never heard of someone employing that kind of strategy relevant to like a bond. So the question would be, why is it that Trump is not just paying the bond? Why is he choosing to take that guaranteed unrecoverable 10% hit? Because again, the fee he's paying to the bondsman for this loan, that money's gone, right? The bond is not something that goes anywhere. You're getting 100% of it back. But Trump isn't paying the bond. He's paying the bondsman, right? He's paying a 10% fee to the bondsman. So Trump's not paying any of his bond at all, right? The bondsman is. So the bondsman gets his money back. He gets 100% of his money back, right? Since Trump isn't paying that, he's only paying 10%. That's not a bond. So that's just a fee. So that money is gone, right? So again, the question is, why? Why not just pay the full bond? Like all the billionaires do, all the really wealthy people do. What do you think? I can't say. I mean, if I'm a partisan, I would just say, because he's broke, he's not really a billionaire. But I'm not a partisan. And I don't know what his bank accounts look like. The guy's kind of wacky. He does all kinds of crazy stuff. So I don't know what to think, man. Like most things that Trump does, it sounds fishy. But I really don't have anything to go on in terms of why he would do this, right? I know the speculation from certain crews. I can see why they say the things that they say, but ultimately, again, I don't know this man's finances, right? Neither do you. But what do you think? This is Baby Channel. Debate in the comment section below. Click on the like button, subscribe, smash that bell. Be well. Creepy video in a creepy van. That's what I do on my Thursday night after catching a little mouse. We get a little bit of mouse infestation, and I'm unable to do anything about it because I got a wacko that won't let me in his unit for any reason. There's a water leak, he won't let us in. There's rats, he won't let us in. And the city is allowing this, and no left-wing media will ever talk about this kind of stuff. I wonder why. I wonder why.